Hello. Today I'm going to show you guys just a quick little demonstration on assembling, probably we'll do a 3-layer cake. We got some white cake here, we got some chocolate cake, some buttercream, simple syrup, and we'll just assemble it. I'll do it in 3 stages. So this first part is just going to be assembly, and we'll get a rough coat or a crumb coat on it. Then we'll send it to the cooler, let it set up a little bit, bring it back. I'll do the final icing, let it set up one more time, bring it back, and then we'll show you a few little decorations. So the way I like to do it, you could bake layers in just rounds, and you would need either 3 layers of this, or you're going to bake it really thick and slice through it. But what I like to do is bake it into a sheet cake form. That way we get nice, smooth, even layers. And what I did was essentially take a cake board, find out the size of the pan that I needed. So we're going to call this a 6-inch. Just essentially traced around it, cut it out. So now I have my underneath cake board. So we really don't need that one anymore. If you measure properly, I mean, I could get 3 layers out of this if I was just doing all white cake. But since we have chocolate, I'm going to add in a middle layer of chocolate cake. So we just line that up. A knife, make sure you're going straight. If you're in at an angle, you're going to see that on your cake, and you'll have to trim it up later. I just get a nice straight cut. Move it over. Like I said, since we have chocolate here, we're just going to throw in a middle layer of chocolate. And that way you guys also be able to see the chocolate showing through a little bit more and realize how, you know, thick or thin of icing you will really need. It smells good. Can you guys smell that? No? Technology's not there yet. Alright. So I'm just going to clean off my cake board and put that down here. So first things first, I'm going to reach under here. You can pull apart some of the cake. Make sure you're not messing it up. Set it right on your cake board. And we have some buttercream here. This is the Swiss buttercream. And I'm just going to take a little bit and give it a quick little heat up on the stove, just to loosen it up. Once your icing's been sitting a little bit, you tend to get some other air pockets. So I just like to hit it on either open flame or water bath or something. And it's really quick. I mean, I just hit it already, and you can see it loosening up. Just hit it. And now I have just a little bit smoother of icing. Grab the spatula. So I got a piping bag. I do have a coupling down in there, but right now I'm not going to use it. We're just filling the cake right now. Just put a little bit in. Squeeze it out. I tend to wrap it around my finger, give it a nice twist so I have a good grip. Don't overfill your bag. If you overfill your bag, you're going to be working yourself too hard. Got to work a little bit smarter. So I usually just do a border down at the bottom. This is going to essentially seal it to our turntable. And I do one on top. And we have some coffee simple syrup here. So, if you want, you know, you can soak your cakes. It just depends on what you're trying to offer your customer. This one, say this could be called like an espresso cake or something. Cake's got a little coffee simple syrup, and we just happen to have a little bit of black cherry filling. So if you're doing a jam or if you're doing more buttercream, you know, having a border is going to keep everything from kind of going out your sides. So if you had a raspberry jam and you didn't do a border, it's going to start seeping out the side. So just, again, sometimes less is more on your cakes. If you overfill it, your next layer won't be able to mash up well, and it'll be sliding, and next thing you know, you got cake that's fallen over. All right, so we got a little bit of our filling in there. We're gonna go with our next layer of cake, which is gonna be the chocolate one. Get this out of your way. You can keep the scraps for either cake balls, cake pops, cake tastings, if you cut like a little square out here. So, and I'm gonna flip this one over, that way I have the bottom of the cake. Sometimes you can look to see if, you know, you need to level it out, but with sheet cakes, things go pretty smooth. Take any crumbs. Alright, and we're just going to kind of repeat the process again. So we got our bag of icing. I'm just going to put a border on it. You don't need to go too thick to the inside or too high either. Just a nice little bit that's going to hold our layers together in the filling. So again, we're going to give it a little bit of our coffee syrup. Make sure you don't over soak it too, just enough that the cake's going to absorb it. If you give it too much, you're going to realize after a few hours that it's just, again, starting to seep out the sides, out the bottom of your cake. So just give it a little bit. And if you by chance had another layer of filling, different kind, but we'll just keep this one. Same with the black cherries. Nice and even. Grab our final layer of cake. And it's again your choice on this, whether you want to soak the top. I'm not going to do this one because it seems like it's a pretty moist cake, and we're just going to leave it as is. You soak your top layer too much, you're going to try to ice it, and the buttercream's not going to stay. So. Okay, so now we have our layers, and this is where I'm going to show you just a couple options. You can just take the back or the front of your offset spatula. If you have a triangle spatula, you can use that. We still have a piping bag, and we have some icing in the bowl. So some people, you can just grab a glob and just kind of throw it on top, like that. You can take your piping bag, you know, you can just continue throwing some around. This is just, again, our crumb coat, so you're not going to try to get this perfect looking. You're going to have cake showing through. What we're trying to do is make sure we secure all those crumbs to the cake, to the icing. Grab that. And we'll pop this in the cooler. You know, if you're doing multiple cakes, a cooler is going to be just fine. If you're in a hurry or something like that, you can pop it in the freezer just to get the buttercream to set. I tend to use my hands sometimes, like that. If you got clean hands, this works. Otherwise, you know, if you got clean table, you can scrape it on the table, pick it back up. You use your other spatula, you know, you're grabbing it on there, working it back and forth. You're gonna find many little different techniques that could work for you. All right, so that's pretty good. I'll take the triangle spatula now and just give it a really nice spin. Scrape that off. Take our top, do once over. All right, so that would be either, you know, one tier or one cake, and you should have a cake board underneath, so you can just move it, slide it up, and then we're gonna send that into our freezer, and in about 5 minutes, we'll be back at you, okay? All right, so we're back now. You guys can see, so at first I was touching here, and you can see how it was spiking up, but now I'm touching, and nothing's coming off on my finger. So we know we got a firm icing layer there. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna do our final coat, hopefully, which is gonna hide all those crumbs in there. You don't wanna leave it in there too long. You don't want a frozen cake. If the refrigerator is the same way, it'll set up. If it gets too cold, you can start beating and get moisture condensation on the outside. So same thing like we did before. You can see the icing, it's just a little bit splotchy. So I just wanna give it a quick little heat up and stir. This is just going to give us a smoother icing and make it look really nice on our cake. All right. Recenter. Same thing. I like to just throw a little bit on top. Just give me something to start working with. Take my spatula, and then I start kind of filling it around the outside. This is where you want to work a little bit quick. Once the warm buttercream hits the cold, it's going to start to set up. And if you don't work fast enough, that icing is going to set and you won't be able to move it around like you need to. So be ready to do what you need to do with it. Take a look, see if you see any more. You can see now that our chocolate cake has kind of disappeared, and that's what we want. We want to keep it that way. So I think I got a good amount of icing on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to essentially take off a little bit and level it out. When we use a triangle, if you do this, it's going to slant out that way. If you do this, you're going to scrape the top, and then it'll bow out to the bottom. So just make sure you're keeping it nice and straight. Run it around a few times. Scrape it off. Dig in a little bit more if you need. We're going to do the same on the top. Take our top. And even more so, since we have an open flame. Not too hot, but then you can just move that out a little bit, run it across the top, finish up our edge, and then what I'm going to do now that I have that, is we're gonna let that set one more time in the cooler, come back, finish up anything we need to just make it smooth, and then we can start decorating this. Okay, so we're back, so we're out of the freezer one more time. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take now, this is all cold, and you can see I'm just going to scrape a little bit. So this is just going to smooth it out just a little bit more. Get some of those waves out of there that might have happened. Break this off. Come up to the top, that way you can see the top. We're just going to, you want to be careful on the top one a little bit. Yeah, you can see, keep it nice and level. If I'm dipping too much, I'm going to just scrape too much off. Take a look in the middle, and we're going to do something like that. Fun little trick. So now you should be able to just buff out some of these blemishes. Little frills around the edge, just a little bit of a warm finger is just going to ease that. You can see I got a couple little crumbs showing there. Absolutely fine, because guess what? We're going to do a top border. Okay, so we're smooth pretty good here for buttercream cake. You know, buttercream's not flawless. You're going to see those little imperfections, and that's part of what people like to see. They want to see that it's actual cake. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it on a different cake board. Normally this would be like your decorated, either something that's wrapped in foil, or you got a glass or a silver stand or something. Sometimes I would put fondant down here just to keep this from moving. Go it underneath, center it, and slide your finger out. Okay. So I'm going to try to show you guys a couple different borders. By all means, this isn't going to be, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's get ahead of myself too far. But so right now, let's just start with, we'll do the shell. Okay, so we'll just start with a shell border. I'll do a couple on the table, and then I'll show you it on the cake too. So always have a towel ready, that way you can clean your tip. So a simple shell border is just like an up and a down. Okay. If you want to do a double shell border, so you're going up. Okay, and that can also look like this. Okay. You can space it, so we come back to this one. I can do 1, 2, draw it out. 1, 2, draw it out. 1, 2, draw it out. Okay. Pop that off. And let's do the same thing. We'll try to just do our plain tip kind of next to it. So that's just like a pearl border is what that one's going to be called. We'll do it. Like that, and then this one. Okay. So seeing that on the cake, I'm going to try to get so you can see. Let me come around to you.
Okay.
So for my angle, I usually do it this way. So I'm piping over here and going around the cake. If you're left-handed, you might be coming this way. Some rights like to pipe this way. It's just going to be a matter of your preference. So we'll start at the bottom, and usually you want to look to see if there's a back. So I'm going to call this the back of our cake. Usually there's going to be a back of where you start and finish a border. So we'll just start piping a pearl right now. And you want to just do a little bit and turn. Okay, if I did this and I try to pipe from here all the way around to here, it's going to be awful. So you should just get into a motion of where you want to start and stop. Go until it seems like it's uncomfortable. Or if your pattern changes. Use the turntable. Alright, so that's a pearl border. If we want to do the one that's going to stretch out, it's going to look like that. If you get into more of a wedding style, that's something that you might encounter. Let's just keep switching back. This is why it's going to be just a little bit of a unique cake here for you guys. now we just switched over really quick. I'm probably going to get a little air gap, so we just got to wait to feel for that. We got the shell, so then I'll just do a couple more, stretch it out. Okay, and then you see where we finished. It's really not going to end up as smooth, so that's going to be the back of our cake. We'll come up to the top border, same thing. We're just going to make sure the bag's out the way. So that's just the shell. We want to do a double shell. Do something like that. You can just tighter if you just want to keep it nice and tight. Do each one individually. You know, as you build your portfolio, you're going to show clients, you know, what you can do, and then they're going to pick out what they like, you know. And then we'll go back to the plain tip, and we'll just finish this, and we'll go back the other way. Nice and tight, double border. You got to remember, you know, if you're going to be writing anything, what other decorations are going on it. And we'll just do the looping one. And then we'll come back. Stretch it out. Stretch it out. Okay, so there's a couple little borders. I'm going to knock off this tip, and then I'm going to, this we have, this is the number 4 plain tip. So when you're doing some scrolls and dots, this is a good one. If you're doing writing, you might get into a 2 or a 3. As you get more comfortable, you'll be able to just see which one you like the best. So we'll do a little bit on the table. So simple dots, you know, so we're going to say like this is our cake. That's the top of our cake and the bottom of our cake. So you can just do, you know, dots like this. That's going to be like a milk dot pattern. Swiss dots. Okay. Pretend top cake, bottom cake. We can do some scrolls. So this is again kind of freestyle scrolls. So I'm just gonna do something like that. Maybe I'm gonna take from here. I'm gonna go back this way. This one's gonna end up over here. You know, boom, simple and done. You want to go more elaborate. I'm going to throw another curl in here. That's going to come over there. Embellish that one. Send that over there. Clean your tip every once in a while. If you like that, good. If you want a little bit more, let's bring some dots into it. Yeah, you got to find your balance of when is it enough. Okay, something like that. If you're writing on the top, so let's say we got top of our cake, that's about what we have space-wise. So if I needed a happy birthday in here, I'm going to probably do happy birthday, and then you have your border going around the side. Usually I write in probably a 2 or a 3, that way it's not as bulky. But now we're going to take that and we're going to try to put that to our cake. So I'm going to slide back over to my area. often I'll bring a stool so I can kind of sit a little bit, and then we'll show you a little bit of it. I'll try to get you an angle too. Now I'm working at a little bit of a different angle for me, but we'll just, like I started before, so we'll just do simple dots. Okay, so we got dots there, do our Swiss dots. Swiss dots, and throw in a little bit of scroll work. I like to do scrolls probably in a 3, but let's see if I can lighten it up for you guys. Okay, so a simple scroll. Well, let's come back and do some embellishments on this. Clean your tip if you hit something. Let's do there. Same thing, we'll throw some dots in here. You know, usually again, if this is in a different color, you're going to see a little bit more of the accents. All white, definitely into a wedding or an anniversary or something like that. Somebody wants blue or black or deep red, this is the way to do it. You don't want to go full icing border, because that starts messing around with the taste of the cake, and people end up with colored mouths for wedding pictures and stuff like that. So, okay, so just a little bit of something. What I'm going to show you next, and it's super really quick and easy, because it is something that's still going on, is actually textured and rustic cakes. Okay, so unfortunately, we're going to just destroy this here really quick. Oh no, oh no. All that hard work is just gone. Just gone. Alright, so you can, you know, there's a simply thing as just like a stucco texture cake. I mean, you know, you just do something like that. Throw on some, you know, little agave type plants, you know, cactus or anything like that, air plants, you know. Some people just like a little bit of texture, and some flowers, you know, no big deal. Put some sunflowers and it's going to look great. Others are going with, let's see if I can get more of a spatula look to it. So it's like, we get that jaggedness out of here, and we get some little swoops. And you can do it with the spoon or just your spatula. This would be like a spatula technique, so you can kind of see that. Same thing for the top. You know, you just do some swirls in there. So I mean, now you can see when we got something a little bit different. Lines are still big, so you got either vertical or horizontal. We'll do the verticals really quick. So essentially you're just starting with one and trying to take it. Try to see if you guys can see it that way. I'm scraping after every one. That way I'm removing the icing and I'm not trying to put it back on the cake. Okay, so now you got a little vertical pattern, kind of just a little overlapping feel. If we're doing the horizontal ones, this one's a little bit easier. You can just essentially drag all the way around. Just bring your spatula up a little bit more into the next one. Raise it up. I mean, steady hand though. I'm not saying, I mean, I'm making it look easy, I'm sure, but you know, my hand's not moving, the cake's moving. That's why having a good turntable is necessary. You know, if you're doing like an ombre fade, this is like perfect for this. You know, you do a little dark icing down, lighter towards the top, you run this through, and then you got a nice ombre fade cake. For the top, you know, same thing, I'm trying to take some of this icing away first, and you know what, I'll start in the middle. Let's get it to the outside, and then just come in here and just take that right back off. Oh, I want that off. Okay, now you got this kind of like a little vertical line, tree stump, however you want to call it. After that, I mean, techniques keep going on and on. You know, you're gonna smooth that back out. Guess what? I'm just gonna spin that one more time. Add a little bit more icing, heat up my spatula, and you're back on it. So just keep working. Decorations will come after that too. And you know, hope you guys enjoyed.